My name is Mahlako Mahapa. I'm a director at Monflair Sports as well as a company called Selaki Sports and Leisure. So I was born in a village called Rosenkrantz in Ramatlala. Started my schooling there at a primary school called Burume Primary School, which I later then moved to Fatima Primary School. But due to circumstances in the family, I was then moved to Johannesburg, where I finished my primary school there at Rivonia Primary School. And then again I moved back to Limpopo, where I did my standard 6 and 7 at the time at PEPS. Moved back to Joburg again, where I then matriculated from Fourways High School. I then started studying my studies. I did them through UNISA at a university called MGI, Midrand Graduate Institution. I studied there. I studied Bachelor of Accounting Sciences. From there on, I then later on I then did my Masters in Business Administration at Gibbs. So I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and about 12 years ago I met my business partner, who at the time worked for one of the sports brands in South Africa, and we just started talking, and the idea came about to say, why can we not do this on our own, where we are able to service the underprivileged rural areas in the Limpopo area. And that's exactly what happened. So we decided to form a company called Selaki Sports and Leisure, that we distribute sports equipment and clothing. And at the time our main focus was around dealing with schools. And over the years, the experience that I've gained dealing with sports equipment and sports clothing, it was only natural for me to then get involved in a sports brand. And that's exactly how Monflair, the brand, was born. It was born, we have had the company registered for a couple of years now, but officially started trading only 2 years back or so. I think obviously the biggest highlight is for Monflair has been us getting on board, becoming the technical sponsor for Baroka FC. And post that, the feedback that we've received from that has been quite amazing, that people are now recognizing the brand, and within the sports fraternity, people want to be associated with our brand. So I think when you start something, what better way to fulfill the dream than actually being recognized for what it is that you're doing. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, we are so emotionally invested in the business that the business becomes an extension of ourselves, and it becomes very difficult when you have a team on board that does not share the values or have the same drive that you have for the business. And that ends up creating a lot of tension and conflicts within the business environment. So that has been my biggest challenge as a business owner. And I've come a long way with regards to that, but it's still a work in progress. So it's of utmost importance for you to have the right team when you're trying to build something. And I've had my fair share of mistakes there, but it's worked out. But it's been a costly exercise over the years. At the moment, the only professional team that we deal with is Baroka FC, but we do deal with a lot of development sides, and we're involved in a lot of tournaments on the development side, which speaks to the passion that we have for sports development in the country. But I'm sure in the next year or so, we will be dealing with a couple more professional teams that we are already talking to. I think before we can talk about how we can celebrate women, we need to talk about equality. Equality with regards to pay, with regards to opportunities. In South Africa, for instance, I mean, there are no wholly professional leagues that sportswomen in South Africa can participate in. The only one that's coming is the soccer one that is still to come. And, you know, sportswomen in this country have to hold down full-time jobs and still be trying to pursue their dreams and passion for whatever sporting cause that they want to chase. I mean, the pay gap globally is an issue, and it's not only in South Africa. So I think before we talk about celebrating women, we need to address the issue of equality in terms of sports as a whole, with regards to whether it's the athletes, whether it's women in business, whatever the case might be. As it is Women's Month, I think as women and young girls out there, you know, reach for your dreams and never allow your circumstances to define who you are. We all have different circumstances that we are brought up under, but if we let those define who we are, we would never become what we are meant to be and reach our full potential. I'm a living example of what not letting your circumstances define who you are. So just push for your dreams. There will always be obstacles along the way, but if you know what end road and what plan and goal you have for yourself and for your life, you keep pushing and pushing, and doors will open miraculously. Things just work themselves out. First and foremost would be an obvious one, Caster Semenya. I think that woman has endured so much in her career, but she keeps fighting for what she is good at, and it's her passion, running. So she's not letting anything come in her way between her and her destiny. So that's got to be my top women from Limpopo. The second one, I would say Kgothatso Montjane. She has broken boundaries, has competed at some of the greatest Grand Slams in the world of a sport that, you know, South Africa is not really recognized for historically and as a black woman. Thirdly, this one is an upcoming that I think coming off of the Netball World Cup, watching her for me was quite an amazing thing. Her name is Khanyisa Chawani, a netball center, Spa Protea Center. That girl, I think, is a gem coming out of our province, and she has a long way to go. When she steps onto that court, you see the fight in her and the fire in her. So that she's just made it onto my list, and I think it's somebody to watch out for in future. I think you also cannot name women in sports coming from Limpopo without acknowledging Mama Ria. I mean, she has dominated and stayed relevant in a sport that is so male dominated for so long. I mean, currently SAFA Vice President, she's still there, and I think it cannot be easy as a woman in such a male-dominated sport. So you cannot have women groundbreakers coming out of Limpopo without acknowledging Mama Ria. And lastly, it's our current Netball South Africa president, Cecilia Molokwane. I think that woman is the epitome of what it is to have a passion for your sport. She comes from being a player, so she's been at the lowest level of the sport to now becoming president of Netball South Africa. So she's been a player, she's been a coach. She led Limpopo Netball, and you know, under her leadership, that's when South Africa secured the bid for the 2023 World Cup. So she's also one to look out for, and I think she still has a long way to go within the sports industry. So those are my top 5 women in sports from Limpopo.